This is Jonah Dempsey, your host of the Human Design Deconditioning Guide. Today I will be talking about the undefined root and what the difference between having undefined root versus having defined root is. So this will probably be of special interest if you have undefined root, although you can also watch if you have the defined root and kind of notice some things you might not be aware of on that front. So the root is an adrenaline center. It's all about stress. It's a pressure center. There are two pressure centers, the head and the root. The head, of course, is the top center. If you're looking at the body graph, it's at the very top. And the root is the bottom. There are different kinds of pressure, though. The head center is a mental pressure. A mental pressure to think about things, to try to solve problems, to try to come up with the answer to something, the solution to something. And the root is a pressure to hurry, oftentimes, or to move, or to make it happen. So the root pressure is what you feel when deadlines come up. Okay, so what's it like having defined root? Having defined root, you don't really notice much about it. It's just automatic. It's not really a dilemma. Having defined root, you don't really have to get all your tasks done to enjoy yourself. Having defined root, it's really hard to make you speed up. Someone might be like, is it going to be done Friday? And you go, I don't know, probably. It's this kind of thing where nobody can really make you speed up. They also can't make you slow down. When your root is defined, you are essentially constantly withstanding pressure. You're able to withstand that pressure. Now, here's some tips if you have defined root. One is, make time to relax. Do some yoga, do some stretching. Chances are you don't prioritize this stuff because part of you actually thrives in that pressure environment. You probably also wait to the last minute to do things, right? Because if you have defined root, you kind of like that extra pressure. You might not realize how much pressure you're putting on yourself, how much pressure you're taking on. You might not realize with that undefined root, you're basically waiting for the last minute and it's in this state of like adrenaline. Now granted, you can handle that, but it can still cause health issues. Most of our health issues actually happen in our defined centers. That's what's funny. So defined root is like, you're able to withstand pressure. Now the other thing is, you probably pressure other people, not realizing it. You apply pressure to them through your aura. Now I'm not saying you need to change this. In fact, you can't really change it. You can't mentally decide you're not going to do it. That's a myth, The whole premise of human design is that all this stuff is automatically happening through your aura, regardless of what you think. So it's not like you can be like, I'm not going to pressure people. No, if you have defined root, without even realizing it, all those people who have undefined root, you're setting their pace. Now it's funny, when two people who have defined root together, they can totally clash. The person with defined root and then the other person has defined root, and they're trying on clothes at the clothing store, and the person's like, hey, let's go. They don't even say it, they just stand there. And the other person's like, you're rushing me. But it's no matter what, they're not going to rush. They're not going to actually rush. If you have defined root, you're going to go on your own pace. And the thing is, you're going to rush sometimes. You're going to rush when you need to rush. And you're not going to rush when you don't need to rush. That's the whole thing about having defined root, is that you're setting the pace. So, to give you an example, someone with defined root at a workplace, and they're working with 4 other people, say, who have undefined root. This isn't so common, but it's common enough. And I've witnessed this experience. Well, the person with the defined root On Monday, it's kind of slow, and Tuesday is slow. Wednesday, they realize, oh, we need to get this done by end of day Thursday so it can be tested on Friday. Like, we need to get this done quick. So like Wednesday, they start to really apply the pressure. Thursday, everyone's working at a breakneck pace, and they're just like pushed to hurry. So the person with a defined route is going to like figure out when you need to speed up and slow down. Now there's so many different route gates, different ways for it to be defined. So I don't want to generalize. I'm trying to generalize, but I also want to acknowledge there are so many different ways the route can be defined. And if you're a generator with one of the format channels, it's going to be so different than if you don't have the format channels defined. The format channels are the channels between the root and the sacral center. So just talking about those for a minute. Those are the most influential, most impactful channels in the entire chart. If you have a format channel, it's going to override every other channel in your chart. If you have two format channels, then there's a massive, major conflict that you're putting out. Extremely conflicting energies. Or if you have one format channel and someone else has the other. Extremely conflicting. So this can be really difficult. But like, say you have the 952, the channel of concentration. If you have that, what you're putting out to everybody is focus. Pay attention. Pay attention, focus. Shush, shush. You're basically shushing people all the time. You're like, shut up and just focus. So yeah, you have 952, channel of concentration with defined route. You're around someone who has undefined route, you are automatically pressuring them to pay attention. They're feeling this intense pressure. So the pressure is not always to hurry up. The pressure can also just be, to focus. Or say you have the 360. Then you're also intensely pressuring them. You're pressuring them to wait and to go into this waiting phase and wait for this mutation to occur. Because 360, that channel of mutation, is like you're pressuring people to go into a state where they're waiting for something to happen. That's what David Lynch has. In fact, it's the only channel he has. He has the 360. It's part of his incarnation cross, the cross of laws. And if you know David Lynch's work, his films and art and so on, and if you know about his life, David Lynch very much makes you wait for something to happen. When you're watching his movies, there's a lot of waiting for something to happen. And I'm sure it's also like that in his method. He talks about catching the big fish. That's one of the books he wrote, and he talks about how he meditates and how he basically goes into a state of waiting. So he's pressuring everyone around him to go with him into that state of waiting for something to happen. Or you have the collective abstract format channel. So, it depends on the format channel, but in that case, you're going to pressure people to enter into a sequence of events that is a beginning and a middle and an end. And so basically, depending on which format channel you have, that's the kind of pressure you're going to be applying to people. You're either going to pressure them into the logical process, or the individual process, or the abstract process. And I'm not going into what those mean at this point, but if you're familiar with human design and you know about circuitry, then you'll know what I'm referring to. And if not, I do have a video on circuitry, and you can also do your own research on the different kinds of circuitry. Okay, so there's other channels. There's channels going from the root to the spleen. Then on the other side, there's channels going from the root to the solar plexus. Depending which channels you have activating the root, your defined root is basically going to pressure people in that way. So if you have 2838, you're going to pressure them to struggle. You're going to apply the pressure. They're going to feel that pressure if they have an undefined root, particularly. They're going to feel that pressure. Don't give up. Just be stubborn and just keep struggling. Okay, so what's it like if you have undefined root? So that's really who this is for. None of this is a dilemma for the defined root. I'm just kind of informing people who have defined root what you're doing. But you don't really realize it, and even if you do realize it, it doesn't change anything, because you can't change it. It's just the way it is, right? Knowing that you're pressuring people to struggle or be stubborn, it might help somewhat. You might realize if you have 2838, you're making everybody else around you more stubborn. So you might go, wow, why is everyone so stubborn? Well, you're making them stubborn. Just like if you have the 25-51 from the G center to the ego, you're making everyone around you competitive. You bring competition out of people. You know, whatever channel you have is not only something that you carry, it's something that you bring out of other people. Okay, but none of this really helps those who have undefined root. Well, if you have undefined root, ask yourself, am I in a hurry? Am I trying to get this done quickly? Ask yourself if you're able to enjoy before you get the tasks done. Because here's the thing, with undefined root, you know, if you haven't figured out already, I have defined root. And part of that is, even in this talk, I'm not in any hurry. I'm taking all the time I want, right? But now I see I'm almost getting home, so now I'm going to finish up and wrap up really quick. I'm just walking home, you know, and now I'm like, well, I'm almost home, better finish up. So my root is telling me when to go fast or slow. My dad has undefined root. You know what he always told me? He always gave me this advice. Get all your stuff done so you can relax and enjoy your day. Well, that's terrible advice for me. In fact, it's not good advice for anybody. I love my dad, I respect him, but people don't give the best advice, always. A lot of times they give really homogenizing advice, or they give not self-advice. And the reason that's not good advice is, first of all, that's his problem. He has undefined root. He can't enjoy himself until his work is done. Right? Second, the answer is not to hurry up and get your work done. If you have undefined root, it's not about getting your work done. It's about deconditioning so you're no longer in a hurry to get your work done. It's about deconditioning from the belief you need to get your work done to enjoy yourself. It's ultimately about realizing the pressure comes, the pressure goes. There's always more work to be done. There'll never be an end to the work. So you don't have to hurry to get it done. Because as soon as you get it done, there's just going to be more. And in fact, it's realizing you have this amazing opportunity for wisdom. Just like all the undefined centers, they have the amazing potential for wisdom. I will never be wise about pressure. I'll never be wise about stress. I have defined root. I'm not here to be wise about stress. I'm not even aware of it. When you have undefined root, you can learn what it means to manage your stress. You can learn techniques for de-stressing. In fact, the undefined centers are where you make money, and that's not a topic I'm going to go into today, but you know, money is pretty not self. And so the undefined centers as not self centers, it makes sense this is where you would make money. So if you have undefined root, you can sell relax to people. You can sell slow down. You can sell take a vacation. You can sell all that stuff. It's not for me to do, right? I have defined root. In fact, with my defined root, I don't really know how to relax. I don't really know what it means to just take a day to myself where I'm not working. I'm always working. I'm always putting myself in the pressure cooker. So, you know, those rare days when I've like gone to a spa and laid around in a hot spring and sat in the sauna, or God forbid had a massage, which I haven't had for probably 15 plus years, you know, it's actually been really, really good for me and really healthy for me. But with my defined root, I don't even think about that. I'm just so accustomed to stress, and I'm so accustomed to withstanding stress, it doesn't even occur to me. So I need you undefined root people to teach me how to relax. But you can't do that if you're always in a hurry. And you can't do that if you're making decisions with that not self. That's what it comes down to. You know, I have a friend who has all 8 centers defined except for the root. And he's a generator. And so he's always thinking, I can avoid frustration if only I get my work done. And it's not true. It's a never-ending stream of work. The work never ends. And I talk to him, and every time it's the same thing. I say, how's it going? What's going on? What are your dilemmas? What's been happening? And he always says the same thing. I just got too much to do, and I'm doing it all day long, and I don't have any time to myself, and I'm just constantly in a hurry, He's like, I'm a gopher. I'm a living gopher. I just go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And he's not actually enjoying, because you know what? He won't take a long lunch to himself until he gets his work done. He won't enjoy himself until he gets everything done. So it's 1 a.m. and he's still working on stuff because he can't relax until it's finished. So he needs to decondition from that and learn, no, you don't have to get your work done to enjoy yourself. And when he does that, he'll become really, really, really wise about what it really means to relax. All right, this has been your host, Jonah Dempsey of the Human Design Deconditioning Guide. Thanks for watching.